Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the Hoop Clinic. It's Christmas time. It's time to do good things. So I thought I'd hook up one of my friends with FPV for good. He doesn't have anything FPV related, so we gotta start from scratch. I've put together a kit what I consider budget hobby grade parts, so not the ready to fly stuff which you grow out of very quickly, but also not the high end expensive hobby grade stuff, sort of mid of the line things you can grow with and you can learn with. So this is what I came up with. A quick overview first, and then I go through all the parts in detail. I also put links in the video description to everything I mentioned here. So this is a Turnigy 9XR with a orange RX module and the protected 3S LiPo. This is a custom B-brained tiny whoop. This is an all-in-one 5.8 gigahertz FPV receiver slash screen slash recorder. Here are Here are 8 205 milliamp MyLipo packs with the larger PH2 plug. This is a high-tech X4 microcharger, and this is a 12 volt power supply to charge up the transmitter. Part number one, the transmitter. This is a Turnigy 9XR with the Stormtrooper faceplate and a couple of custom sticks. But yeah, that's just cosmetics. What matters is it has a orange RX DSM module, so it can talk to DSM receivers, and it has a 2200 milliamp 3S LiPo, which makes it run for quite a long time, I think like 20 or 30 hours or so. But it does not have the drawbacks like a regular LiPo, as in that you need to have a very sophisticated charger to charge that pack up. You can just use a 12 volt power supply, plug it in here, and it'll charge the battery up without destroying it. So that's why I've included this 12 volt power supply. It says 12 volt and 2 amps. That's all you need. That's not part of the transmitter, I think, when you buy it. I just found this somewhere in my parts collection. So any regular 12 volt power supply with 2 amps or more will do. And you can get these barrel plugs at most electronic shops to connect it to that thing. So that's what I soldered onto it. The reason why I like this radio is that it runs OpenTX. So it's a very advanced open source operating system running on the transmitter, which means you can configure the heck out of it, put custom throttle curves and custom switches and custom alarms, and just can really assign all these sticks, pots, and switches on this radio to exactly your liking. And yeah, that's why I like this thing. And it's the 9XR is, I think, the cheapest radio that does run OpenTX, and I'm not sure if it's still available, but I know that many people have this, and many people who have moved to a Taranis will probably still have one of these. So if you want to enter the hobby on a budget, just ask around a couple of flyers who you see with the Taranis in their hand if they have one of these. They used to sell without the module and the battery for around $50 to $100. I bought these when Hobby King sold them out for $35 each. Next part, the quad. This is a custom built tiny whoop. consisting out of a Eachine E010 frame and the related props. The props need to be chopped down to 2 blades. I use Lexan scissors and an X-Acto knife. And the frame needs a little snip on the back to allow this little foam piece here to slide in, which in turn holds the battery in. The flight controller is a DSM B-Brain, turned around for easier access to the USB and the motor plugs. And the camera is a Bolt Clash F02. The split version, so the camera is on top and the video transmitter sits in between battery tray and flight controller. Linear antenna comes out at the front here. And then there's 2 zip ties hot glued together over the top to make the camera survive a little longer. To the flight controller I soldered that PH2 pigtail in order to connect to these 205 milliamp MyLipos with the slightly larger PH2 plug. I think 8 of those is a good start, so you can charge 4 at the same time while you fly the other 4 and then swap around. That almost gives you, considering a couple breaks in between, non-stop flying action. To charge the batteries, I suggest this Hitec X4 microcharger. It has a couple different plugs, and yeah, you know, in the past we used to ruin our little plugged batteries with this little plug that Hitec calls MX, which wasn't exactly the MicroJST 1.25 plug we had on the smaller packs, but the MCPX plugs on these ones, that's exactly the same. Like I call it PH2 plug on these 205 milliamp batteries, so that fits right in there without any problem and sits quite stable as well. So this charger either takes 12 volts or it takes 230 to 110 to 240 volts. So I just plug this straight into the mains and power's on. You can dial the charge current in here. These batteries are around 200 milliamps, so ideal 1C charge current is 200 milliamps, 0.2 amps. But yeah, you know, if you're in a rush, you can also crank it up a little higher, like 2C, 400 milliamps. But if you have the time, I recommend to charge them slowly at 1C or even lower. If you're on the go, you can also power this thing from your car battery or any other 11 to 15 volt source. Cost around, I think, 50 US bucks on eBay. And then last essential piece to the puzzle. This is a 5.8 gigahertz monitor slash receiver slash recorder. It's kind of generic. It says on the bottom, wireless FPV DVR, 5.8 gigahertz, 5 volts, and then model that didn't even fill out. So yeah, one of these generic things you can get somewhere in China. I don't know where I got it. Probably one of the emails that that I receive every day and said, yeah, give me one. They are around $50 as well, I think, on places like Banggood, GearBest, Tmart, DX.com, or just straight on eBay. Or, you know, if you know some people who are into FPV, just ask. Some of them has probably one of them lying around. It's not Diversity, only has one antenna connection, and I'm just using a linear antenna as it is on the quad. it works just fine when flying around the room or the house. It has a sunshade, which you can also remove, which is quite handy to fly outside. Otherwise, you get so many reflections on the screen that you can't see anything. A tripod mount and also a little stand to put this on the table. Has a USB port to, I'm not sure if you can transfer any data over it, but I use that to charge it. So very handy, just connect it to any existing phone charger or a USB plug on the computer to charge it. It has AV out and AV in. I haven't tested both of them, but in theory you can record other sources, view other sources, also put out the signal what that receiver gets to a pair of goggles or to a second screen. It has a SD card, a micro SD card slot for recording. So I tested that. That works quite well. And well, you can change the mode here between recording and playing. So yeah, very handy little unit. As I said, I don't remember the exact name or model number for it, but if you search around in those places I mentioned and look for the specific features, I think you can find something similar somewhere in the $50 range. And then usually you need a charger to charge 3S LiPo packs, and to get around that, I've just dug out this 12-volt power supply, which plugs straight into the transmitter, and because of the protection circuit of the battery, charges up the battery without creating a fire hazard. So that's it. That's Dr. Hoop's budget FPV setup. If you have any questions, post them in the comment section below. Merry Christmas. See you later.